PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Alison McConnell and Tam McManus are here with me. There is so much to talk about after a weekend of some interesting stories and developments in the Scottish Premiership and beyond. It is of course time for us to digest what happened over the weekend. The champions Celtic got off to a great start, thrashing Kilmarnock, unfurling the title flag from last season. Rangers dropped points against an impressive Hearts outfit. What now for Tony at Dundee United? Tony Watt could be on his way out. The Saints march all over Hibernian. We'll get the thoughts of Tam McManus on that. Raith Rovers sack Ian Murray after just one game. We thought we might actually get to 4 or 5 before we discussed a manager being sacked. VAR still at the heart of controversy, although not too many managers complaining about the Connor Barron handball in the match against Hearts. You can give us your thoughts on that. We'll discuss the European draw for the Scottish clubs, and if you want to give us your thoughts, you can do in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and join the football family. So lots to talk about. As far as the sackings are concerned, let's get right into it, Ruffy. One game, Ian Murray sacked. It wasn't going according to plan since January, they said.
Yeah, I was absolutely stunned when I heard the news. I think everybody was raving about Ian last year, where he'd went in there and took them to where they were into the playoffs and everything. I just couldn't see that coming. Obviously, things going behind the scenes that you're not privy to. Tam knows Ian better than me, and I don't know whether he's dug his heels in and maybe he wanted some more money for players or something like that. You know, getting knocked out of that Premier thing, believe it or not, it's quite an expensive experience. It's about £100,000 to the clubs that don't get in. Plus, you might, I think they're all TV televised, all the ties, the hospitality, you get a good draw. So maybe they've said, well, you've maybe wanted a couple of players and you've lost that £100,000, so you're not getting any. So these things go on behind the scene you don't know about. I don't buy into the results. You know, I think the expectations getting promoted last year were a bit high. I thought the whole place would have been a high. The crowds come back, they were good. So absolutely stunned by it.
One game, come on. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, the board need to have a long, hard look at themselves, whether he's your pal or not. After one game, if they weren't happy with him from January onwards, they should not have even contemplated sitting down with him and giving him a new deal for a new season and new hope.
Yeah, and he's just signed, you know, Hanlon and Stevenson from Hibs, 2 great signings. You know, he's really pushed the boat out to get them in. I spoke to Ian straight after I heard, I couldn't believe it. I spoke to him, it's nothing to do with anything off the pitch, according to Ian. It's a football decision from the board, and he's stunned by it. He went in on Sunday morning thinking, you know, we're going to chat to him about new players, and he gets sacked. He can't believe it. I'm actually in a chat with him, Alec McLeish, Big Yogi Hughes, 2 guys that have been sacked a couple of times as well, and they couldn't believe it. So, listen, Ian's bitterly disappointed. I thought he'd done a great job at Raith Rovers. I think he'll get another job, you know, in the next couple of weeks. I think somebody will take him. Stunned by it, 2 games away from the Premier League for the first time in nearly 30 years for Raith Rovers, and then 1 game into the season sacked. Absolutely nothing to do with anything off the pitch. You know, that was the rumours. You know, it fell out with people. As far as Ian's concerned, there was nothing to do with that. It was a football decision, and he moves on.
Well, he may well move on, and I think there'll be a number of managers actually just starting to sweat thinking he's available as a manager, because he's certainly proved his credentials. I just think it doesn't. I think it tarnishes the board. I mean, it just sends out the wrong signal.
Yeah, I think it's bizarre. You know, he signed a 3-year contract just at the end of last season. It's not as if there's been any spectacular downturn across the League Cup campaign and the few games that they've played so far. I think it comes across as quite a baffling decision so early in the campaign. I think last season, when you look across the Championship, 1, at how competitive the league is, 2, if you look at the finances and resources of the clubs, like Dundee United is the one that you would have expected to go up. I think you know, to take them within a whisker of going back into the top flight and then to find himself out a job at this stage, I think it leaves you scratching your head. I think just 1 game of the campaign gone, 1 league game. I think it's I think there's a few people would have sat up across the weekend and scratched their head about it.
Yeah,
it's interesting to see what the supporters think. Where Raith Rovers were 2 years ago with the Good Willie stuff and all the board changing and having new people coming in, where he's taken them from there to where they are now is unbelievable. as a club. And I would think the supporters, it'd be interesting to see what they say about it.
Well, the interesting part of this now is they've made a rod for their own back, because they're going to have to put in someone, and they've got a tough act to follow, and that's the nature of it, you know. But I think we're delving into just lunacy nowadays with managers getting the sack. If you don't back them in the summer and you're clearly not happy with them, don't take them into a new season and let them think that they've got a chance to have a full season again of trying to get into the division. As you said, Alison, it's a good point you make. Dundee United, did anybody expect to take them and their wage bill? We'll talk about Dundee United a little later on in the programme, because
it's very difficult now for whoever does come in, because you've lost a summer of preparation. You think if you weren't happy with where it was at the end of last season, that's the time.
Should have done it at the end of the season.
That's the time that you make the change, when you've got a couple of months to go in, assess the squad, decide what someone new, what direction they're going in, give them a couple of weeks to think about what they want to implement. Now someone goes in when everything's up and running and games are coming thick and fast. I think the timing is baffling.
Yeah, before we look at all the Scottish Premiership results for the weekend, thanks to so many of you for supporting us. I mean, if you join us live Monday, Wednesday and Friday, then all well and good. We are delighted with that. Lots of people catch us on the catch-up, where basically it's on our YouTube channel. You can watch it at your leisure at any time. And the figures for the programme right across YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, the social media has been absolutely superb. The support last season, and hopefully getting even bigger this season with the content we're going to bring you. We just want to say thanks to each and every one of you. It's the weekend, the first weekend of the Scottish Premiership season. Here's how the results all panned out. And it was Hearts 0, Rangers 0, Motherwell 0, Ross County 0. I was getting a bit worried as I headed up to Tayside for the Dundee derby, but I think I might have been a contender for game of the weekend. 2-2 it finished. St Mirren 3-0 against Hibs. Celtic 4-0 against Kilmarnock. And St Johnstone against Aberdeen's on the Monday night. Thanks to so many people for posting messages. Skeeden just wanted to know why Tam is looking so sad today. Don't worry, we'll get into we'll get into Tam in a minute on why
My mate gets sacked and Hibs get pumped. That's how.
Yeah, I'm so much. It's been a great weekend.
Season.
Do you know what? You're a Jonah, you really are. Have you noticed, Ruffy, that since he's joined us, all his pals have been bumped from key jobs? I mean, he's absolutely a nightmare.
He'll have guys that he's known for years been on the phone. Don't say you know me. I don't.
Don't count me for the job.
It's,
are you their tactical news? Or are you
Aye.
getting a bit worried.
I'm getting blocked soon.
Yeah, hi to Tommy, who's out there in Thailand, who always supports us. Remember Tommy out there in Thailand. So many people near and far have stopped us and said that they watch the show regularly. It keeps them up to date with Scottish football. And of course, listen, it's competition. We're out there battling against so many other platforms, programmes as well. But we'll give you an opinion, and we'll give you no shortage of comment on lots of topics and the programming and the unique video content we're offering. Hopefully you're going to enjoy it. 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday our reporters are out at the games bringing you all the latest news. So thank you to so many of you for your comments. We kicked off with high hopes of a cracker at Tynecastle. In the end, it was 0-0, but I don't know about you, Ruffy. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a great game to watch.
Yeah, I thought the weekend was a great advert for our game. You know, I think every game had something to offer. The Hearts Rangers started it off. Not a lot of quality in the game, but a lot of incidents, you know, a lot of goalmouth stuff, you know, shots at goal, 2 goalkeepers and outstanding form, you know, and I thought the game had a lot to offer. And the only downside for me was, again, what we talk about every year, was the fans at the game. That wee segment of Rangers fans in the corner just did nothing for me.
And then empty seats.
Yeah,
empty
I
seats
thought
where
it looked.
nobody's in.
I thought it looked terrible.
So did I. I mean, honestly, it's the lunacy of it, but I don't want to go back over it like a broken record. Jock Cusick, I beg your pardon, says, nice to have PLZ back. It's going to be another painful season for most of us Rangers fans. Looking forward to getting hammered on the banter front, though. Jock, I'm going to say something to get us into the meat and bones of the game, but in fact, let's talk about the game first, because if anything, the positives would have certainly been in the Hearts camp, unless I'm mistaken. I thought they looked good as a starting 11, and they had options in the bench, Ali.
Yeah, they did. The boy Taylor looked as though he really shone as well. He looked like quite a find for them. Yeah, I think Stephen Naismith would have been pleased with it. I think both sides could have argued. They maybe might have edged it, might have done enough to win it. I thought a draw was probably fair overall. I think
Penalty?
No, I think last season it's been given. None of us wanted it to be given for that. I think his arm is in, his elbow's tucked in. It's not what we spoke about repeatedly. He's not gone to play the ball with his hand. The key will be consistency. That's the same level now that you want to see applied across the course of the season for every game. If that was given, we're all up in arms about it being given. You did see it last season. I think Willie Collum was very clear when he spoke to the media just a few weeks ago ahead of the new season about what the new legislation around this would mean. I think you saw it evidenced on Saturday. So no, I didn't think it was a penalty. I don't think it should be a penalty, and you'd like to think going forward it's not going to be a penalty.
Penalty?
No, I don't think so, Peter. I totally agree with everything Ali said there. I think there was one in the Dundee derby as well. It came off a Dundee player's hand from a corner.
Yeah.
And that wasn't given. So I think that's pretty refreshing. And as long as they stick to that throughout the season, listen, we were all coming in here going mental, about penalties or just hitting people's hands and giving penalties. So hopefully there's more of that to come, Peter, and they stick to that level of consistency, because I don't think it was the one that came off a Dundee player's hand.
Yeah, I don't even think you should have bothered. I mean, they could. I'll tell you the one thing that was really refreshing over the weekend. We'll hear from Stephen Naismith shortly, but right across the board, you had a real positivity about managers. Okay, it's only one game in, Ruffy, but they were all positive about the communication that had happened with Willie Collum and them, and an explanation of how they wanted to go forward with less hands-on VAR and really a kind of an emphasis on we're going to try and make the game flow.
Yeah, as Alison said there, they've set a precedent now going forward. The only fortunate is there's going to be an instance when somebody's going to say, that's the same as that one at Tynecastle, why are you giving it? I hope the referees and the VAR do show some kind of consistency all the way through, because I think, as we've just said there, we all agree that we don't want penalties given, cheap penalties for nothing. So if the hand's away up here and it's more in an unnatural position, fair enough, but not if it's down and a defender's coming out to defend and the ball hits his hand. But I thought both managers after the game came out and were pretty honest about the situation. I think the Rangers manager and the Hearts manager were summed up the game quite rightly. Both of them could have. Unfortunately for Rangers, the chances all fell to Dessers. I thought he did particularly well at the header. I thought, well, everybody's having a go. But for me,
lucky with the header, isn't he?
For me, but I'm saying, for me, a striker, he's in there.
Yeah.
His touch that he had when the ball got put through, all right, he lobbed it over the bar, but he tried to just be a wee bit too nice. But he's in there making the chance. I'll bet you he scores more than 20 goals this season.
Yeah.
22 last season, wasn't
I think he will. Yeah, I think so.
What is that, dinner?
Yeah, I'm quite happy about a dinner, yeah. I think he will quite easily.
With that, Tom?
Yeah, I'm in for that.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll play if
Two
Rangers sign a
dinners.
striker. I think Rangers will sign a striker and before the end of the window. I think he'll be.
Well, it's a dinner.
All
That's
right.
not right.
Actually,
Week one and we've hooked him in already, Ali.
Actually, I'm in Team Ruffy. I think he'll start.
That's my
Right,
Two dinners.
You can get the starter.
Yeah. So that's not bad.
Doesn't do start.
That's not bad, Ruffy. The two of you in Magic. Okay, over 20 goals. We'll take that. What do you think? Do you think it was a penalty? Give us your view on that as well. We all say no, never a penalty. Shouldn't have been looked at it. But of course, it ended 0-0. And if anything, I got a real sense from a number of friends of mine, Rangers fans, who are looking and thinking it's going to be a painful season. There's new signings there to be added. There was only one signing that started, so it was a familiar look for a lot of Rangers fans to this side. But I think Philippe Clement himself is going to introduce them slowly but surely into the games, and then they need to get up to speed, according to the Rangers manager.
Yeah, of course. You saw also with the other signing coming on, he may directly impact on the game, but he comes out of 4 weeks of holiday after the Euros. So he trained now 3 times with us. He's not in his top shape. So for sure we're going to become better. Robin Proper was also with the squad today. But if you don't train with the team, you cannot play a game. So of course, and that's also experience to put in the squad.
Okay, I'm going to offer something of a perspective of Philippe Clement, because I think he's been fairly honest in his assessment of where they are, where they want to be, and you have to listen to what the chairman John Bennett said as well. My feelings on this, Tam, is that Rangers are going to have to short term, bear in mind he's got a 4-year deal now, I think Rangers are going to have to short term take the pain of not winning the league this season, maybe not winning it next season, as he tries to build something. Whether he gets the time or not, I can't put my hand out there and put my head on the block, but I think they're going to have to take pain because the chairman's backed him and he needs to be given time this season, definitely, to build his own team.
Yeah, he does, and I think that's been seen in giving him a new contract, Peter, and I think that the amount of players that he's bringing in, he seems to be out with the old and with the new. There's a lot of players that have been there for a long time that he's ushered out the door. Whether he keeps Tavernier, I don't know. There's still time in the window for him to depart as well. So, yeah, listen, Celtic Rangers, they're always going to be judged against the other team. I think that's a little bit unfair. You've got a Celtic team that's been settled for years. You've got a top manager. They've got the Champions League money. I think for Rangers, it's asking a lot for Rangers to go and really compete with them for the title this season. Whether the Rangers fans are happy for them to finish 10, 15, 20 points behind Celtic this season, I don't know. In terms of short-term pain for long-term gain, I don't know, Peter, but I think they've got to give him time. I think the board are prepared to give him time, and I think as the season goes on, you'll see Rangers getting stronger. I think there's a lot of new players, and they'll take time to settle into the team and into a new system, into a new country. If they can just hang about Celtic for the first 7, 8, 9, 10 league games, then maybe you'll see them putting a challenge in. But I think it's a critical period this first month for them, with the Dynamo Kyiv games coming up as well, and Celtic in the 1st of September, to just try and stay on Celtic's coattails.
Yeah, Dynamo Kyiv is massive, Ruffy, because if they could get into Champions League group stages, that's a huge financial bonus to Rangers. The second leg is going to take place next Tuesday at Hampden Park, but they're away first leg, and then they know that if they can get past Dynamo Kyiv from the draw today, they'll face either Salzburg or FC20.
Yeah, well, Clement's been going on about the finance at the club, saying he's not getting the money for the players that he wants to buy. So getting in the Champions League would be a huge injection before the window shuts, and you would like to think the board would say, right, there's more money on the plate for you. Go out and get the players that you really want. So we'll have to wait and see who he brings in. They have got some player, the new centre-half coming in, Denoli's not played yet, so there are players there who'll make the team better. I just thought at the weekend there, I thought they were lacking. What Celtic were lacking was a playmaker, somebody to get their foot in the ball and look up and make passes. They seem to be a wee bit disjointed now. I think they're not like a team. When you see Celtic, they've all played with each other. They all know what they're doing.
I like Barron. I thought he had a good debut.
Yeah, but he's not the kind of player who's going to kill you in the latter third of the park. He is a very good workman-like player, and he will score the odd exceptional goal. But I thought he did well.
Yeah, Hearts, I think the Jambos certainly will be happy with what they had as a starting 11. Gerald Taylor, he looked a player and a half that they've unearthed. It was an impressive one there away to Dundee on Saturday, but they've got, you'll have to forgive me for this, Krivas Kyiv of Ukraine, or Victoria Pilsen in the Europa League playoff round. So that's what they're facing, and I desperately, after the disappointment of Kilmarnock for the Europa League, I desperately hope Hearts can get, access to, a good amount of money in Europe.
It's hugely important for many reasons, not just obviously for the club itself and the finances it brings and the spice it adds to a season for everyone and the interest it generates, but also just for Scottish football as a whole. I think it's hugely beneficial to have teams competing in European competition. You have the coefficient, the spin-off that comes here, but also just raising the profile of the league, attracting better players as you go on, enhances the quality overall of the league. I think it's massively important for so many different reasons that you're in and competing and having as many teams as possible picking up coefficient points and going and performing well. We've obviously got St Mirren too on Thursday night. I think you want to see Scottish teams go, compete and sustain themselves in European competition.
Just thanks to Hugh Scott, who's just obviously been all over it as well. Tam and I didn't jump over his head too early, but Hugh has. Peter, have we signed a new player, Donoli? Classic Gruffy, clearly meaning Danilo. Hugh, I just do not know why you even bothered, because there are so many Rangers fans actually going on the message. Oh, signed Donoli. Where's he from?
I was sitting here going, God, I've got that name right. You never seen it.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, fantastic. If it's near, the rule is if it's near what it sounds like, he'll fire it in there. So well worth it, Hugh, you jumping in on that one. But fair play to you, Ruffy. Of course, we did mention that. Fair play to the managers with that communication with the SFA. Willie Collum, this new brush, this new attitude to VAR. Long may it continue. And great credit to the manager. Stevie Naismith didn't think the Connor Barron handball was a penalty.
I don't know. I don't think it's a penalty, if I'm honest. I think last season there's a big debate. Willie and the referees and the league have done a lot to try and clear things up and have a conscious effort to stop you asking that question to write about it. People, you'll stop it, you'll see it, people say it's unnatural, but if you've played the game, there's not much you can do, so I don't think it's a penalty.
Yeah, well done to the manager for coming out and saying that. I think it was refreshing, and we'll hear from other managers again, just backing the new way they're going to approach this. So let's hope that the referee gets a chance to keep the game flowing. Talking of flowing football, Celtic 4, Kilmarnock 0. Boy, did they look good, Tam.
Yeah, they just continued on from a fantastic pre-season, Peter. Scoring another 4 goals. I think that's the last 3 games. They've scored 4. Could have been 5 or 6. I think they were denied a stonewall penalty kick, which we'll maybe speak about. I think Kyogo missed a sitter as well, so it could have been worse for Kilmarnock. I thought Celtic were excellent, and they seem to be playing at a higher tempo. They've continued on from maybe the latter part of last season. I think when it started to get close, Celtic kicked into another gear. In the last 6-7 league games, they've continued it on this season. And they've got competition for places, particularly in the wide areas, middle of the park. They've just obviously signed Bernardo. Hatate looks back to his best. So, no, I think if you're a Celtic fan watching that yesterday, you're really, really impressed with that whole performance from start to finish.
Yeah, Maeda missed out through injury, which gives you an indication of the strength that they have. And of course, did you think it was a penalty, Alison?
The Kyogo incident?
Yeah.
I think he was just taken out.
And of course, over the course of this pre-season and then into the start of the league, and the transfer window closes at the end of August, much has been made of Celtic's lack of any really key signings to get the support excited. And remember, again, we will fall into in this programme on a regular basis. You've got a wry smile on your face, but I might as well tell you, we will fall into this category of assessing Celtic game by game and then totally readjusting your thought process when Celtic have to play in Europe. And I think this is where Brendan is going to be judged. He certainly got a little bit prickly, about suggestions that he's been putting in some kind of message in his after-match comments or comments in pre-match press conferences to the board. I see these various reports that I'm sending messages or sending codes. I'll never say anything that I've not spoken to my bosses here at the club. I'm relaying my feelings, but my feelings are with them totally first. But we want to take the club forward. I don't think anybody's talking about special codes. The only thing you can deal with is the facts. If the manager's talking and he said, well, we'd like to get players in, earlier, you can only take him at his word.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you can read between the lines of what's been said, sometimes what's not been said is just as important. I think clearly there has been a frustration from the Celtic support about the lack of incoming signings. I would qualify it personally by saying I think it can always be quite difficult on a couple of levels. One, straight after a tournament, I think sometimes there's always a bit of a sluggish element to the transfer window. It tends to start moving now, really, when you're going into the latter weeks. I also think the type of player that Celtic will go to recruit, you're probably looking at maybe the 6, 7, 8 million pounds player bracket. I think they always have options. I think you're not looking at players who are maybe a couple of rungs below and a club like Celtic comes in, you're talking about players who will have decisions to make in other leagues that might be in with contracts. I think people forget that sometimes Scottish football can be quite a hard sell, even if you've got Champions League football to offer. I think if there are other competitive leagues, particular if you're looking at maybe down south or looking at La Liga or whatever, where people can be very competitive in terms of finances, it's not easy to go and recruit the kind of player that you want. I think Celtic will sign players. I think you'll see a couple of arrivals before the window closes at the end of this month. I think crucially you might also see players going out too.
Yeah, okay. What's your take on that, Ruffy? Because,
Yep.
you know, it's early in the season. He's had a really good performance out of the players that he has there. I get the feeling Brendan's got the players now for a full season and they're suddenly responding to what he wants them to do. But the second part of it, as Ali said, is, okay, there will be signings. They might come towards the end of the month. It's what calibre they are, and will they improve the squad and the results in European football is the big question that I think Celtic fans will start to hammer him over the head with.
Yeah, I think Celtic need a centre forward, centre half, and maybe another player for the Scottish Premiership. That squad they've got now will win the Premiership without another 2 or 3 players. But it's what kind of player you're going to need to get to Europe. You know, I don't think this squad will do any better than what they did last year, and I don't know what kind of player you're going to bring in to make yourself better in Europe. You know, who are we talking about? I keep harping on about the boy Scales. Boy Scales will stroll through Scottish football. I think he's come on leaps and bounds, but when he goes into Europe, I don't think he's the quality that Celtic are looking for. Definitely a striker. Something happens to Kyogo, what do? It's panic stations, and that's not materialised either. I just feel it'd have to be a right big signing to take Celtic any further in Europe.
Yeah. Many do you think they need?
What are you talking about for the Premiership? I don't think they need that many for the Premiership. Champions League, you need a striker anyway. Centre half, a right good international centre half.
Left back?
Well, Taylor's always done well, you know.
Left back.
Oh, so you're saying he's not good enough for Europe?
Yeah, I don't think he's good enough for Champions League, him or Skills. I think if you're wanting to make an impression, you need better quality than them.
Well, you need cover. There's no cover over there anywhere.
More competition for them at least.
I don't know.
For Celtic all the time.
Yeah.
Like the type of players that are going to come in and make a difference in terms of Champions League football are elite players.
We see VCLs, and what kind of elite player is going to come in and be better than O'Reilly, Hattati and McGregor? What are you going to buy to bring to somebody
I think
that's
they're fine. I think they're Champions League quality players, but I think you mentioned the 3 of them. I think a striker, a left back, and a centre half. If you can improve those 3 areas, I think Celtic go in much stronger. I think the midfield's fine for the Champions League. I think they're all very good players.
Although if you take O'Reilly out of the equation,
It's quite interesting actually, because I mean, it's either his agent has now gone into overdrive, but he's been linked with Brighton, he's been linked with Chelsea, you know, and of course, you know, Atletico Madrid, a number of clubs all closing in. I'm going to hold off on offer. I know you're going to smile about it, but I'm going to hold off, because I firmly believe the one really, really positive thing about it, I think Celtic will win the league with points to spare again. But I think the team is playing far better now. That's game 1. My God, they had to wait to near enough 3/4 of the season had gone before they actually got a half decent game.
But see, Pierre, see when you're playing well, and they were playing well at the weekend against. They were on the front foot. The pace was there. The movement was magnificent. The 2 centre halves were up about 25 yards for the Kilmarnock goal with their possession they had. Let's see what they're like when they play against a team who tests them.
Yeah, well,
you know,
that's
when you'll get the challenge of when they come up against a team that's on the front foot and they're not sitting back and letting Celtic have 80% of possession. Then you'll see how good the Celtic team are.
Yeah, just as a footnote before we get to our news, Kelly, I don't think Derek McInnes was too peeved. Obviously doesn't want his team to suffer an absolute doing, which is what they got in the end. But I think he's looking and saying to himself, okay, it's Tromso, Thursday night, Rugby Park, Conference League, 3rd qualifying round, chance to chance to maybe redeem themselves and make sure they've got something to look forward to in European football. So they've got to try and get, a positive result.
Yeah, they're missing a few players as well. I think they've got a few injuries at the back in particular. Danny Armstrong, I think he rested him. I think they went a little bit more solid at Park. He did come on late in the game. He's obviously one of their key players who'll play on Thursday, but it's a difficult when you're in a Kilmarnock the size of their squad to play Europe, then go to Celtic, then play in Europe, then play at the weekend, then play in Europe again. It's going to be difficult for them, but they've just got to kind of suck it up and try and get through. Tromsø will be difficult. They'll be a difficult tie. I think the both teams have got teams from Norway. They'll be difficult, but I don't think they're unbeatable. And Kilmarnock, if they can win at home, they go over to Tromsø, then they've got a real opportunity.
If we can get 4 clubs, Alison, playing in European football this season, what a huge boost that would be to our game.
I think it'd be enormous. I think it just lifts the whole league. I think it gives you, just from now until Christmas, January, obviously the Champions League format runs until January before the knockout stages are this term. I think it just lifts everything around it. I think it gives you something different. It just adds a bit of spice to the league. It adds a real intrigue to the opening months of the campaign, and obviously it augurs well for the league going forward. You can attract, it brings investment in, it brings finances in. That in turn you would hope is recycled into the quality of players that come into the league.
Yeah, this is PLZ Soccer on our YouTube channel. If you hit the subscribe button, you can join the football family. If you download the app, you'll get all the breaking news at your fingertips. There's lots of special content coming up for you 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, and Saturday and Sunday we're out at the games bringing you the reaction from the managers and the players as well. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, live 4 o'clock, and you can get it on catch up as well, the football show. Tuesday, the women's football show. Thursday, the journos, and then I'll be out there conducting more and more one-to-ones with people within football and some interesting people out with football on the programme for you to enjoy. These are the headlines on PLZ Soccer.
Hi there, I'm Kerry and here's your daily news update on Monday the 5th of August, brought to you by Arnold Clark. Rangers started their Premiership campaign with a goalless draw against Hearts on Saturday, of which Philippe Clement believes it was a game of 2 halves.
The first half was for Hearts, second half was for us. We had good chances to finish off the game.
Sticking with Rangers, they're preparing to take on Dynamo Kyiv tomorrow night. If they're to advance through that game, they'll meet either FC Salzburg or FC Twente. As for Celtic, they kicked off their league season with a fanatic 4-0 win over Kilmarnock yesterday at Celtic Park. And as for the Dundee derby, Jim Goodwin clarified Tony Watt's future at the club.
No, Tony's still part of the squad. He's still available. He's still under contract here at Dundee United. I can only pick a squad of 20, unfortunately, and Tony wasn't part of that today.
It was a 3-0 win for St Mirren yesterday at the Smythe Stadium against Hibernian, where David Gray believes that sort of defeat at the start of the season is unacceptable.
When you start to think about the whole overall performance, as soon as you see the result, the performance becomes irrelevant, because to lose 3-0 is unacceptable for us at this moment in time.
Tonight's at Johnstone take on Aberdeen at McDermott Park to kick off their league season. We'll be keeping you up to date across all of our social media platforms.
Yeah, thanks to Kerry for those headlines, and you heard from Jim Goodwin there. We'll talk about that Dundee derby. It was absolutely magnificent. Loved it, going to the city of discovery, hoping for goals, and boy did we get them. It was everything that was good about Scottish football. Just on the negative side, you've got a squad of 20 and suddenly Tony Watt's not there. And of course the suggestion is that he's deleted all his social media regarding Dundee United. The alarm bells are ringing, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think there's obviously things going on behind the scenes there, that Tony is a guy who's been about a lot, whether it is he's fell out eventually with the team he's with, I don't know, but it seems to move about. We all thought he was going to be at Dundee United for a wee while, but he just may be that kind of player that he wants to move on.
Yeah.
If he's not playing, he really wants to move on.
That's manager speak there from Jim. I don't want to discuss
what that a few times by
well, just about to say, if ever a man knows that line, he's bombed. The problem with it is, if he is indeed one of those players they want out the door for whatever reason in the background, Tam, $4,000 a week means it's going to be mightily difficult to get him out.
Yeah, they're going to need to pay him off. I've been in that situation before, Peter, and I've heard managers say that I'm part of the squad where I've been in training with the kids. That's just, you're right, it's manager speak. Don't think Tony will play for Dundee United again. I think there'll be negotiations behind the scenes. He's got a year left in his contract on big money, so he's not going to walk away with that. I'm pretty sure he'd be prepared to sit it out for a year. You know, he'd pick that money up. Don't think he wants to. Don't think the club want him to. So I think you'll find, as it comes towards the end of the window, you'll start to see that offer going up and up, because Dundee United don't want to pay him for a full season, or at least to January. So I think he will eventually move on, but it's a bit of poker going on just now, I think, with Tony and his agent and the board at Dundee United.
Yeah, as far as the game's concerned, Alison, what a wonderful advert for Scottish football, because I sat down and the first 5 minutes, the ball had a flight path, and then eventually, suddenly they started to get it down, and Dundee United scored 2 great goals. Yeah,
absolutely, and I think our league needs games like this. I think you've got to celebrate the derbies, the stories of two teams that are across the road from one another, going head to head. I think you've got to enjoy what that offers, what that rivalry is, and try and market it. And I thought yesterday's game was a fantastic example of what the game can offer. I think maybe not one for the purists at times, especially in the opening exchanges, but certainly I think there was a lot there in terms of excitement, and it's good to open the season with it, just to kick it off with a good vein of excitement.
The one thing that struck me, Dundee United's second goal, I mean, there were patches where suddenly the ball started to get launched, but there were patches in the game where it's a beautiful surface, it's a sunny day, and Dundee United tried to play the ball on the deck. If you were a neutral watching that in another country and you saw Dundee United's second goal, you think that was a thing of beauty. It's at one point when one of the United players picks up the ball, can't remember for the life, I think it was Will Frew, picked up the ball. One of the United fans shouts, "Hit it!" But he doesn't. He looks across and plays the pass out to the right hand side, and then it's a first time ball in for the goal. It was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, I thought Dundee United were superb the first half. I thought they outplayed Dundee. Trapanovsky obviously getting the first goal looks a real find for them. Obviously Jim knows that Macedonian market. He signed two players for Dundee United. Obviously get Majovsky in at Aberdeen. So no, I thought Dundee United had a lot of pace and quality in the final third. And a great ball across, and the young boy, is it Thompson, came in at the back post and scored, a youth product. So they've got a nice blend of kind of foreign players and young players. Dundee United second half, I thought Dundee got to grips with it more and they finished it stronger. Could have won the game at the end. I think the big boy came on as a sub for Dundee, the striker. He should have scored, Peter. And Curtis Main and Simon Murray missed a chance. Good save of the goalkeeper, might have been offside. So Dundee finished it stronger. Thought game of two halves, definitely the draw was a fair result. But I think both of those sets of supporters come away for that game thinking we're going to be in for a good season. We've got a good side.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought the great advert for the game was the stadium being full.
Yeah,
I thought it was great to see.
This is going to be your bugbear now, isn't it?
No, I think it was great to see a stadium on the telly with no spaces.
Yeah.
Because if say it wasn't a derby game and I say it was Dundee United versus say Motherwell, there'd be spaces all over the place, or Livingston or whoever. But to see an actual stadium, it adds to the game. You're saying the game was a bit up in the air and that, but with the noise and everything and what the expectation of both sets of supporters, it was just fantastic to watch.
Yeah, thanks to Errol, who says, Pete, were you on the Swally yesterday? You're looking a wee bit scruffy, unshaven. Errol, I didn't shave because I want to go up Dundee and look hard.
Perhaps he does miss it there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that. Anyway, thanks to you as well, Errol. I thought it was a great game. The only downside was, I don't know what, in any way, some fans think it's okay to start throwing coins. And Jim Goodwin tried to put a little bit of humour in it, but he wasn't happy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've had 3 or 4 chucked at me during the course of the game. It's not something that I'll talk too much about. We spoke to the security guys down the stairs, and no doubt they'll stick a report into the SFA. It's disappointing. It's not the first time it's happened here with the fans behind the dugout. So last time we were in the Premier League, Aberdeen bombarded. I think I got 68 pence worth of change that way. Went straight into the wee man's piggy bank, which was good. Higher value coins next time, please. But
I mean, he did put a bit of fun into it, but it is worrying, Ruffy. There was a player on the left-hand side who was getting pelted with coins, and I'm thinking to myself, really? I mean, is that acceptable?
No, it's definitely not acceptable, but we keep saying it every year in, year out, catch them. You know, get them on CCTV, make them punish.
Coins are the perpetrators.
The people.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine somebody that you saw them throwing the coin. Imagine you throwing the coin back at them. What would the response be?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, they're off them now.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, you hope the police catch them and they get arrested. As far as Dundee are concerned, though, Ali, I like Tony Docherty. He's one of those managers that, you know, he top 6 finish. He might have surprised a few people, but I think he's got the makings of a good squad there.
I think he does too. I think last season was I think he compounded all manner of expectations after they had just come straight back up. In fact, at one point last season, he was being discussed for manager of the year, given what a strong campaign they had. I think he's had a couple of good additions to the squad. I think they will fancy themselves for top 6 again.
Yeah, and refreshingly, there was a moment in the game where there were actually 2 penalty incidents, but I think the managers right across the Scottish Premiership this weekend have been fairly complimentary about how the game was handled. David Dickinson was the referee up at Tannadice, and Tony Docherty said he got the penalty call spot on with the VAR officials.
Aye, yeah. I think the biggest thing was I knew it wasn't offside. You know, now when I see it back, it's a clear penalty. It's a definite penalty. So, yeah, and that's what. And listen, I'm an advocate. I always say anything that can benefit the game. Of course, we embrace that, and that's what it's done today. It's made the right call in a really, really tense derby, and those moments are pivotal, and it's got it right today.
Yeah, full marks to Tony as well. It'll be interesting to see who's got the bragging. Who do you think is going to get the bragging rights in Dundee this season? Tam?
Oh, I would have said definitely Dundee before I seen that game at the weekend. I was really impressed with Dundee United, so I think it'll be nip and tuck the whole way. And I think it'll be close between the two of them. I thought Dundee United were really impressive.
He still wants a couple of signings, Tony Docherty, so interesting to see what he does. Certainly he wants to kind of add a bit of solidity to the back end.
Well, he certainly knows where to get them. I mean, 11 loan players last year. I don't know what he's got this year, but he knows where to get them and tap into them. So I wouldn't be surprised if they come back from England again. I think his biggest problem is, I think, the wee boy McGowan is the next one that's going to get pinched by somebody.
Yeah, Luke McCowan. Yeah. Don't worry, it's a letter here and there, Ruffy. Absolutely, what a cutting some slack, by the way. This is Alison, just one L. Anyway,
Alison McCougal.
McGowan was the show on Friday.
He's unbelievable, isn't he? Anyway, yeah, well, listen, and we're only at the first game of the season, Ali, you're absolutely right. St Mirren 3, Hibs 0. Oh, I don't want to take anything away from St Mirren. They were magnificent, Tam.
Yeah, listen, I seen them last Thursday and I thought this was going to be a really difficult game for Hibs. It was never a 3-0 game, Peter. I watched the game, it was never a 3-0 game. It flattered St Mirren, not saying it didn't deserve to win. Hibs missed 2 or 3 great chances in the first half. They were the better team, and if you don't take your chances, you're going to get punished. St Mirren got up the park right after half time. Wonderful goal, cuts inside, great wonder goal. And then you're right up against it, and then they get 2 quick ones later in the game. Hibs have not got a cutting edge. They need a striker in quickly. They've played a lot of good football, but they're blunt at the top end of the park.
Junior Hoylett, a good signing?
Yes, him and Big Mika, on loan from Kukarevich, on loan from Swansea, have got good signings, Peter. He needs a couple others in, but I think if you're a Hibs fan coming away for that game, you're thinking we actually played a lot of good stuff there, but we need a striker. Dylan Venti, I don't think it's going to be the answer, Peter. He's persevering, but he missed another great chance. You've seen it a sitter at the weekend. And if Hibs don't put the ball in the net, they're not likely to keep clean sheets as we've seen last season. So, poor start to the season. They've got Celtic back-to-back coming up as well. It doesn't get any easier. So, yeah, it's a wee bit depressing if you're a Hibby at the minute.
Funnily enough, he's put a positive spin on it by the performance, Ruffy, but the narrative out of it is everybody's... I mean, out of one game, everybody's looking thinking, wonder if David Gray will survive. I mean, how crazy is that?
Well, I think that falls into that category, you know, again, somebody at a manager's job who's a legend at the club, you know, and they think that you're going to get a wee bit of time. It doesn't matter who you are, and if Hibs go into an unbelievably bad run, which I hope they don't do, you know, he'll become under pressure. But I think Tam told us on Friday that St Mirren were a big bruising team up front, and certainly there was occasions at the weekend that the St Mirren, but the Hibs boys were just bouncing off them.
Yeah.
2 big boys up front were so strong and powerful, you know, in set pieces they were much stronger than Hibs as well, but got to take your chances. But at the end of the day, St Mirren are absolutely flying.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to so many people. Most of our audience offer a really balanced view on these games, Ali. Great one here from EDL who says, Tam's on crack. So there, so there you are. He's clearly not. He's not happy with your assessment of the game. Peter King says, "Can Hibs take Mikey Johnson?" I think if Hibs get Mikey Johnson, they'd be absolutely delighted. But I can't see it. But they need to get players in quickly, or he will be under pressure, because we're living in a time, Ali, where people want. You don't get a month now because somebody's calling for your head.
Yeah, and a poor result too in the League Cup as well. I just think it invites pressure when you don't start well, and then I think regardless of the nuances of a 3-0 defeat, I think the optics of it are not good. I think it puts you on the back foot immediately, but he'll know himself. He definitely needs players in. It's about the calibre now of what you can bring in and try and supplement the squad, and I think Hibs have been crying out for a striker.
If you are a St Mirren fan right now, you are bouncing down the middle of Paisley, having a great time. You're buying the new strip. You might even think about buying the second and the third strip, Ruffy. It's just a brilliant win over Valour. And then suddenly a really comfortable win with some really nice goals against the Hibbies.
Yeah, I thought they were. I mean, the first half, as Tam said, I agree with him a wee bit. You take your chances, you score first, sometimes changes the game, but you can't take any away from them. For 90 minutes, St Mirren just dug in there, and I thought they were a really big, strong side who the first goal they scored was absolute quality. I think he looks a player for the season. I just think that when you're on a high like that and you're in a team that's winning all the time, the dressing room's great, the supporters are all pulling behind you, and that's when you start getting results, and that's what's happening just now at St Mirren.
Yeah, and of course the difficulty now is, as Tam mentioned earlier on, is Stephen Robinson has to somehow manage this squad. They'll be playing Thursday and Sundays.
The crowd are very important to us. They've got right behind us. They didn't get frustrated with the first half, and that's important to remember, that it takes a big physical strain out of a 20-man squad playing Thursday and Sunday. And now the hard bit is I've got to manage that for Thursday night, because each game is as important. There's no more important games. Europe's not more important than the league, because you have to do well in the league to have these experiences. So it's a difficult one. People like Dennis and Roland have not played lots of football, so injuries are a concern. So we have to manage that. But the club as a whole is improving. We're getting better. We're trying to be a top 6 club. We're a top 6 side, but that we need to keep building as a top 6 club. And Keith and the staff are really trying hard to do that.
Yeah, he's doing a wonderful job, Stephen Robinson, and great times there at St Mirren at the moment, Alison.
Yeah, fantastic. I think you can see what confidence does to a team and to a club. He's tweaked it a wee bit in terms of personnel, but by and large the spine of the team has stayed the same. I think back-to-back top 6 finishes across the last 2 seasons, and then going in and getting a fantastic European result. I think it bodes well for them across the course of the campaign. I think St Mirren's biggest challenge, if it keeps going like this, might be just keeping hold of Stephen Robinson.
Yeah, absolutely. Motherwell 0, Ross County 0. Motherwell had 2 gilt-edged opportunities, Tam, in the first half. I mean, one of them, he should have burst the net, didn't even hit the target. But in the end, apart from maybe a Ross County free kick in the second half, not a great game.
No, not a great game, Peter, and both of them have lost their talisman this season, so I wasn't expecting a goal fest. Theo Bair obviously leaving Motherwell and Simon Money leaving Ross County, so I think they're both short of a regular goal scorer. Probably a draw was a fair result, and on the back of Hearts 0-0 with Rangers, it wasn't a great Saturday for football. With obviously no goals, but I think both teams will be reasonably happy. Don't want to lose your first game. I think Motherwell will be obviously more disappointed being at home. Ross County, Don Cowie spoke about, they have to start winning away from home if they want to try and do anything this season. So wasn't much of a game, but I think they'll both improve as the season goes on and their new players bed in. Yeah,
Ross County's next match against Dundee United, but downside for Motherwell, Sam Nicholson out for several months, injured, and over and above that, I think they're going to go and play a bounce game against Everton at Goodison, but he'll be hoping with all the turmoil of possibly a new owner, then they blocked it, and now they'll be hoping that at least with the budget that he does have, Stuart Kettlewell might be able to add a few more before that window closes.
Yeah, but he's got good form as well. He's tapping into the league down in England. He's obviously got a scout down there who gives him a lot of advice. But I think the good thing for Motherwell is they always seem to bring a young one through. There's always somebody for the academy comes through, and like the boy Lennon, you know, they establish himself in the team. But no, I don't think Motherwell will be struggling this year. You know, but just before we get away from it, I thought Ross Laidlaw, the Ross County goalkeeper, was absolutely outstanding. One of the saves he had would be top of the season.
That's why I love you on the programme, Ruffy, because you do really highlight an area where not
goalies.
Not many goalies. You love goalies.
No,
I thought
crap game.
I thought it was, well, the goalkeepers made it as they did at Tynecastle. Some of the saves at Tynecastle were superb.
Yeah, absolutely.
Surely they're sort of paid for.
Yeah, I wonder what
hate that
paid for.
saying.
exactly.
You're paid for
Well,
strikers, paid for.
to be fair, you were paid to score goals, and you let a lot of clubs down.
Oh, that's fine. Take that on the chin.
Yeah, what about the goal? You're talking about goalies. Obviously, Peter Schmeichel was spotted in the crowd watching his son Casper Schmeichel. Peter actually probably could have gone in goal himself and not get troubled.
Or been a male model.
Eh?
He could have been a male model as well.
Yeah, I just meant in the game, Ruffy, because there wasn't really any threat to the goal.
No, I thought Marley had a shot that might have hadn't hit the ground first.
Yeah,
but he looks just a Joe Hart replica.
Yeah.
They look the same experience, same pedigree, same CV. You know that. I don't think he'll be a good signing this year.
Yeah, I think that's the one bit of business so far that Celtic fans have looked and thought, yep, well done with that.
Yeah, I think it was. I think a player of that ilk, that standard, the level that he's already played at, he comes in, offers real quality, looks assured, looks very comfortable, already looks as though, you know, Joe Hart is, he had fairly big gloves to fill, but he's come in and it's been fairly seamless, which I think is what Celtic needed.
Yeah, absolutely. St Johnstone and Aberdeen will lock horns on Monday night, and then, of course, as the week progresses, we'll maybe have a chance on Wednesday, certainly, to get an assessment of the Dons and where St Johnstone are. I think there's a lot of pressure, Ruffy, on what Aberdeen are going to produce. They really have to, I think, get a half-decent start this time so that there's a bit of positivity around them.
Yeah, they need to hit the ground running. You know, I think the supporters had a horrendous season last year, home and away. There was no consistency at all. And the expectations up in Aberdeen are they should be in the top three. So a lot of pressure on the manager coming in, but they really need to start the game with a win.
Yeah, I mean, they've got St Johnstone, then St Mirren, then Kilmarnock, Ross County, Motherwell and Dundee. So they've got a run of games where they haven't come up against, you know, a Hearts, a Rangers, a Celtic, a Hibs.
Yeah, they've got a great opportunity, Peter, to get off to a flying start. I think that'll be a full house tonight. I think there's St Johnstone are saying thanks to Jeff Brown. I think I think there'll be a full house. Aberdeen, obviously, away supports travelling numbers, so it should be a great atmosphere. Looking forward to seeing both clubs. Really looking forward to seeing how Aberdeen do. I thought they underachieved massively last season for the quality of player they've got. Majowski's been on the bench in the League Cup games. Will he start tonight? I know there's obviously stuff behind the scenes about a transfer fee, but it'll be interesting to see if he starts because he hasn't played in the League Cup. But I think Aberdeen might go and edge that tonight.
Yeah, they've had a good start, you know, of the 4 games they've played. St Johnstone, I worry about them. Again, Ali, as ever, if you ain't got a goal scorer, Nicky Clark won't make it tonight. Ikpeazu won't make it. If you ain't got a goal scorer that gets you 10, 15 goals, suddenly you can find yourself rooted in the bottom half.
Me away too, yeah. I think I would fear for St Johnstone again too this season. I think they'll be there or thereabouts when it comes to the end of the campaign in terms of fighting for their survival.
Yeah, are you optimistic about Rangers getting past Dynamo Kyiv? Because the first leg this week is crucial.
I think it'll be a very tough challenge for Rangers to get past them. I think also too, obviously first leg's away and then they're back at Hampden. You don't have Ibrox. It's an unusual situation that you're going back to the National Stadium and not obviously using a ground that's been a bit of a fortress for them in European competition across recent seasons. I think you'll look at that win on aggregate, 9-2 win on aggregate that they had. Yeah, I think just based on the early evidence of the season, I think that's a monumental challenge for Rangers to try and get through it.
Yeah, Ruffy?
Yeah, I think the away game's always important. I think, again, Jack Butland will be a big player for them, you know, and if they could come back, maybe a draw, one each or something, or even one down, you're still in the game. And you would expect them, you know, with the crowd behind them at Hampden, that they might just scrape through.
No, I fancy Dynamo Kyiv strongly. I think from the turn of the year, I was having a look this morning, I think they've only lost one game, you know, this year. So I think they'll beat Rangers. I think Rangers get in the Europa League.
Yeah?
Yep.
Is that where they should be?
Currently, I think so. I think they're a Europa League level team. I think they'll be more competitive in that. You can see the same about Celtic, to be honest. But I think that Rangers, even if they get through this, you know, the next tie looks tough as well. You know, Dutch team maybe or Salzburg. I think Dynamo Kyiv will have too much. I think Rangers are still in a transition at the minute, Peter, with new players and a new system, and I think Dynamo Kyiv will beat them over two legs.
Yeah, just as a footnote to that, I think that's the worst possible thing that can happen for Philippe Clement, as well as trying to get the new signings in and making a contribution. I don't know, I might be wrong, but I think the Rangers fans will hate Hampden. It's not a stadium I like. You know.
Well, I always say that when Scotland play international games there, you know, when other clubs come, they're not under the pressure that you're talking about. You know, they're not under the crowd right up against them. You know, the continental teams seem to come and just stroll about because it's a big pitch. You know, there's bags of area in there, so that might go against them. But I'm sure the Rangers supporters will make it a night to remember.
Yeah, okay. Lots of people giving us their thoughts on their favourite team. You can continue in the chat as ever if you want to download the app. You'll get all the breaking news at your fingertips, and there's a content section where you can actually post your messages as well. You can actually record a video as well, and we can put you on the show. If you want to brush your hair, make yourself look smart, maybe shave, I'll do that for Wednesday's programme. Then we'd love to put your video on the programme as well, because in the app you have the perfect chance to do that and record yourself. Over and above that, if you hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, you'll join the football family. The figures for last season were absolutely superb. And we will try and offer you our honest opinion as ever. Sometimes gets us in trouble, but nevertheless, we will call it as we see it. And there's lots of unique video content for you, not only to watch, but we want you to engage with us this season too. Don't forget, on Wednesday, our new signing, Scott Allen, will be there in the chair. And also Ryan McGowan on the Fridays. Are you happy with the Aussie, Tam?
Yeah, two of them seem pretty knowledgeable about football, and hopefully they'll come out their shell more in the weeks to come.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know about you, just as we, yeah, I got it. And on that point, I was just about to say to you, you're a wee bit, I think you've had a fallout from Germany, you know, that kind of a cheeky chappy, or is it that you're a year older and wiser and more mature?
Getting older now, Peter, I'm 43 now, so I've not got the same energy levels as I used to have, so I need to rely on Ruffy this season.
Yeah.
It's difficult when everybody's having a go at you and don't like you.
Yeah.
That must affect you, you know.
Yeah. Oh,
it's a Monday morning blues, Peter, the weather and everything, I think it's murder.
Yeah.
August, the summer's over.
Absolutely. Listen, we love our football. Hopefully you will join us on the programme on a regular basis. If you don't catch it live, then you can, of course, catch up at any time on the YouTube channel. And, of course, there's lots of social media clips for you to enjoy of managers, players, and some of our special guests that we've got coming up. Thank you very much to Ruffy, to Alison, and to Tam McManus, and from myself, Peter Martin. Hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, and thank you for listening and watching.